My goal is to make sure we are different. We are different in every way. The certain stock might be the same, but we try to bring in products that are different. Why do I need to compete? You want to bring the sour belt, watermelon sour belt? I'm not going to bring it. I'm going to bring strawberry.
Wow, could you believe it? Wrapping up another fiscal year. Here, we started in we were on the radio here, Mind Your Business is on since 2015. And we've had incredible guests, right? Joe Hart, the CEO of Dale Carnegie, the former CEO of Saks Fifth Avenue, right? And the former CEO of Apple and Pepsi. Hey, well, what's my regular intro? Yeah, I'm just so excited, wrapping up another amazing year here. We've come in consistently between 3 and 5 in the top 10 in New York AM radio, according to the Nielsen ratings. That's pretty cool. Yes, you're joining me here. It's Yitzchok Saftlas on another edition of Mind Your Business. We're on every Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 710 WOR and the powerful iHeartRadio network. Thank you for joining me. Again, we have an amazing guest tonight, but it's radio, so, suspense just for another minute or so. By the way, to access all of the interviews, the 300-plus full episodes that are up on mybradio.com, that is the platform, mybradio.com. And of course, our robust YouTube channel. If you subscribe, you are automatically notified every single time the episode goes live on YouTube. Before we get to the guest, just to be a mensch, special thank you to the great team here at BLMG who makes the show happen. Srili, Michal, Betzalel, Bracha, Michael, Miriam, and the entire team. Of course, special shout out to Darren and Robert at 710 WOR, and a special thank you to all those who stop me all the time and give me great feedback for the show and for our business class channel. Tonight's show is there are gonna be quite a few clips that show up on business class. That's on Instagram, the easiest way. Instagram, businessclassclips.com. We're gonna be on TikTok soon also. Businessclassclips.com. Well, without further ado, Benny Imani, founder and CEO of MiMi's Sweets. Benny Imani, originally from Iran, came to the country with $50 in his pocket. This is a great story, folks. $50, all right? His background includes diamonds, specialized precious stones, and having owned even a chocolatier company. And Benny was forthright. He said, yeah, we could talk about it. He's going to share quite a bit. So again, for all you out there with aspirations, ideas, vision, where you want to go, tonight's show is going to share a lot of real stuff. Because, people, they imagine, you wave a magic wand and you hit success overnight. Doesn't work like that. You have to put in the time and sometimes deal with challenges. And every once in a while, we're treated to a guest who's willing to share what goes on, what it takes to be successful. MiMi's Sweets, by the way, is a leading importer of gourmet kosher candy in North America. They bring the ultimate treats from one of the leading confectionery manufacturers in Europe, and MiMi's Sweets are distributed worldwide. On tonight's show, we're going to discuss a true American success story. Success in business, learned sometimes the hard way. And sales tips and strategies from a sweeter perspective. With that intro, we give a warm welcome. Benny Imani, thank you for joining me here on Mind Your Business.
Hi, Yitzchok. How are you?
Amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you. And it's, by the way, a very special treat because the year-end show, there's a lot of listeners look forward to it. Like, okay, who is it going to be? Who are you going to share? And we got to wow them with impact, and I'm sure we will. And we'll keep our ratings up there with having such a great guest. So, Benny, I understand you're open to talking about your journey. First, could we just get came in $50 and now, thank God, blessed CEO of a company. Tell us the backstory.
Sure. It was 1987, and back in Iran, we were living, and it was the very, very vicious war between Iran and Iraq, which a lot of people were getting slaughtered left and right, and the military was drafting the kids as young as 15, 16 years old to the war zone without experience and throwing them, in front of the bullets. But the Jews in Iran, they got together and they start, finding ways to send kids out. And the most efficient way, since they did not give us passports, they sort of kept us hostages because we're assets to them. They did. We started going, talking to human smugglers, which they were working, which all around the world they are always, and it became a trend through the Jewish community in Iran from 1985 to mid 90s. And human smuggler, they would charge an arm and a leg, a tremendous amount of money, and would take the kids and cross them to the borders, mostly to Pakistan. Unfortunately, because that was the only neighboring country that was safer than Afghanistan and was a little more sophisticated, not real sophisticated, it's a real third world country. And that's where our parents decided to send us out. The first time I was about 16, just turned 16, my brother was 14. A year after Bar Mitzvah. You could imagine how young we were. And my cousins, also 16, 15. And we, in short, nutshell, they spoke to a human smuggler. We made the arrangement, went to the border with our bags. And unfortunately, the first time, we were ratted out by somebody. And the Revolutionary Guard, the Islamic Guard, they came and arrested all of us with machine guns in our mouth and our head all over and took us to jail. We were there for 2 or 3 weeks in jail. They did not torture us, but it was a lot of emotional torture, coming at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, banging at the doors.
And you're teenagers. You're kids.
We are 16. My brother's 14. My cousin was 16. We're a group of 20 people, but there were some older people as well. At the same time, they also called my father, my uncle, that were standing from far to just make sure we getting they caught everybody, but in jail. So after about 2.5 weeks, we were in a cell, probably 15 of us in a cell, 10 by 10. We couldn't even sleep properly. And the wall behind us, they were executing people every single night. So that was a method of them trying to pressure people to talk. In any case, after 2.5 weeks, we were very lucky. The smugglers, which was the mafia of town, his father bribed the judge, and we got out, went back home. 6 months later, again, we attempted the same thing. This time successfully, we crossed the border to Pakistan. And, in Pakistan, that's a whole big story by itself. They dropped us off someplace and we had nothing, by a vacant half-built building. We went there, we started, living in that on cardboards and with blankets or whatever, with a whole bunch of other people. And Mossad in Israel has set up an office, undercover office in Karachi to accept thousands of boys and girls, Jewish boys and girls that are coming out to help them navigate through Pakistan, which is a very dangerous country, very dangerous, lawless. There's no law. There's nothing. It's people think Mexico is bad. They should go to Pakistan, and they know what's happening over there. Any case, we had to follow up few adults who were with us, older people. I was 16 and a half. My brother was 14 and a half. And I was sort of a leader between me, my brother and my cousins. They all looked up to me. And I was more of a go-getter. So I follow up these people and found where the undercover Mossad agent has a big carpet business, sort of speak. They had, which by itself is a whole story how we got in, and they let us in. And she took us through a back door and then another back door and another back door, basically to then with a small room and start talking or interrogating us, who are you? What's your name? Right. What's your father's name? What should you want? And say Shema and these to understand we are Jews, because a lot of Muslims also came at the same time. And we did pass it, and they made us paperwork, UN refugee paperwork. She made it in her office, basically, and stamped it so we could be a little more safer. And she applied for visas. For those who want to go to America, we had to wait for American visa. And those who want to go to Israel every 2 weeks, the Mossad agent would buy the entire entire airport in Karachi. Basically, he would buy everybody, buy the entire airport for 3 hours. El Al, of course, without the sun, plain airplane would come, 747, land. Everybody from the street to the tarmac, all the Jewish boys and girls, they run to their thing, pick him up, full, go to Israel, and then, that was happening every 2 weeks for 3 or 4 years. Those who are going to America, we had to wait, and we waited, and we got our visas, and they made us passports, Austrian passport, going to Vienna. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I should say that online, but we did go to Vienna, and Vienna already, there was a surge of Russian immigrants coming out of Russia and Iran, and they're all going to Austria. There was a big organization called HIAS. I'm sure you heard about it. Internationally, it's a Jewish organization. They basically help us out, gave us room, gave us a few dollars to buy food. At the same time, the Agudat Israel of America opened up shul over there and used to welcome the boys and girls and try to help. We were in transit for about 6 months. I was lucky. Most people stayed there for a year to 2 years till we received our visas and we came to the promised land, to the land of opportunities. We went straight to we had nobody here but a cousin in Crown Heights. He was newly married with a kid or two, and very small apartment. It was me, my brother, two of the cousins, another cousin. In any ways, for 2 weeks we were by him. It was very kind of him. He sort of, took us in, did everything they need. And from there, we started going to school. And, Agudat Israel had the whole organization. They took us to, they offered us room for free by families, American Jewish family from people, Orthodox people in Flatbush, Borough Park, and in the condition we go to yeshiva and learn, and that's how we started learning and going. And this is all I'm trying to make it as short as possible.
So Benny, finish up because I want to ask
you.
Go ahead. Yeah, okay. I get to ask you. Now you're here 3 decades, but when you came, I imagine you didn't speak much English, right?
No, not a word of English. I didn't even know what's the difference between go or went. I had no idea what it meant. Basically clueless, no language.
So how did you navigate in communication in dealing with people?
Right. So that was very difficult. We were in the Chaim Berlin in Flatbush. They gave us English classes, trying to teach us some English on the side. Of course, we were a whole bunch of about 30 or 40 boys, all from Iran, we wild and kids, teenagers, and trying to go through this and learn and try to learn here. But it was very difficult learning. But when you need to survive, you become a survivor, and you need how to run and how to be, to grasp and learn. And I learned and I tried my best to learn as much as possible over the, short period of time. Wasn't perfect, but got me around after 6 months, and slowly.
So Benny, here's another question. Especially with the handicap that you faced in a foreign country, pretty much not knowing how to speak English, how did you navigate even networking in business?
Well, I was always very, I think the American term is go-getter. I had to be on my toes. I had a younger brother. I was the father and the mother for him. Of course, my brother, he's a very smart boy, thank God. He was in school, it was all same school, Chaim Berlin, and going to through high school, while I was half in high school, half trying to work, and talking to friends and friend to friend, and they offered jobs here, there, whatever it was. And we took it. It was cleaning, where it was a waiter, we had to go delivery stuff. So over the time, you get to know people and, start growing your network of people,
Now, Benny, I understand you were working a little bit in diamonds, and then you started even a chocolatier company. Perhaps you could talk about that and maybe even some of the challenges.
Right. I worked over the first 5 years, which I worked here, many different jobs to, just to survive, pay the rent, food, put the food on thing, clothes, because we had no support from anywhere. Basically, I learned very early that I need to have a goal. I need to find something that I like. If I like the job, I'll be successful. I'm very passionate when it comes to business. And I liked it, the jewelry industry, and started looking into it and asking here and there and from here, there. And people, one day, I don't have a job for 6 months, basically, and very depressed. And a friend of mine called me up. It's like, I'm working on 47th Street in one of the booths, jewelry booths. But I want to leave. I want to go out of town. I'm going to live in Boston. Do you want to take over? And I jumped. And that was the beginning of it, which I worked and there for a year and a half too. And it was not much room to grow. I grew the business for him triple in a year and a half.
Wow.
My boss, yeah. So, and I looked for a higher position and found another company, and another company became their color buyer for 5 years. Was traveling to Far East all the time, Hong Kong, China, Vietnam, Thailand, India, and started learning the diamond business. And in 2001, I decided to open up my own jewelry company and brought my brother in. My brother graduated to be an accountant and he's a smart guy. I was a good businessman, learned the trade, and it was time to open up. So I brought him, we opened up a jewelry business, which still till up to date, we are operating it and it's our main business. But as you go on through years and business and backgrounds, we come from country that, it's like, living in Poland 60, 70 years ago, or living in Russia and with all the Holocaust and everything, and they kicked the Jews out. We had the same position in Iran. Of course, they were not as bad, but there was never 100% certainty what's going to be tomorrow. So we grew up with that feeling, but this is not a place we're going to stay. And we always had to survive and move. And now we moved to America. So I had to try not to put all my eggs in one basket. So I try to be diversified. What's going to happen tomorrow? If that business goes down, I have to rely on another one. Now I have a wife, I have kids, I have expenses, and standard of living is not easy, it's not small, it's not cheap in New York. Right. And I had a good friend that had a very good candy store. Whatever it is, and I used to stop there every Sunday. We chit chat and talk, and wonderful person, and he I told him, listen, I want to do some business. I don't know what to do, but I like this chocolate business, so let's open up a chocolate business. And I agreed, and of course I had my own business. I was the silence partner pumping in money. He knew the business. We started the business, and before we know, we were at machineries, warehouse, and the whole 9 yards, and started doing the business. After 4 years, I realized that business, it's a very difficult, chocolate business, a very difficult business with a lot of competition, a lot of manufacturing is not easy. Meanwhile, I was looking for another thing to bring in to strengthen the business, chocolate business, because I saw from outside it's not doing well. And I found this company, which Fini, one of the finest European candy making companies in the world, very famous in Europe. And here, I'm sure a lot of people who tested, they know what our products are. It took me about a year and a half to make a contract with them, to make kosher product with them exclusively. And after a year and a half too, we started making our first production, and which was not easy. It was not as successful as we thought it's going to be. Because I was new at the business and I was from the side. But after in the beginning, just going back to chocolate, after 4 years, I decided I need to shut it down because the business model was not right. And I sat down and thought a lot about it and decided that the whole business model was put in place and run by my partner was not the right way to do it. And started MiMi's Sweets, and we closed that company, and I started running the MiMi's Sweets and growing it and learning from my mistakes. What we did was wrong and tried to do the opposite. And thank God it proved itself right, and we were successful and growing.
Benny Imani, founder and CEO of MiMi's Sweets, is joining me here, and he's sharing quite a bit. And actually, now we're going to get into some of the nuts and bolts. He is, the founder and CEO of MiMi's Sweets. MiMi's Sweets distributes worldwide, And Benny, you said we could ask you some straight up questions, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about introducing new products. So anyone that's watching this, well, again, you're listening to it, but good news, this entire episode will go up on YouTube. If you subscribe, by the way, on our YouTube channel, Mind Your Business 710 WOR, you'll automatically be notified when it goes live. But there's an amazing array of products behind Benny for those that are watching this on YouTube. Now, you introduce products from time to time. What type of strategy is there? Because let's face it, when you introduce a new product, right, shelf space is always a challenge. You got to deal with these big box retailers, and I understand your products in quite a few retail locations, to say the least, and thousands throughout the world. So my question is two-part. Like, what's your strategy to create new products? Talk about that process. And then how to convince those big distributors and stores to accept and put your products on the shelves.
Right. So this is a long journey, and started from day one when we created the MiMi's Sweets. I created MiMi's Sweets, and one of the challenges was, of course, there's always competition out there. So one of the reasons I try to make my model in business, always I try to make it very different, and it involved a lot of risk, it involves money. But I never looked at it at now and the result now, but I looked at it as an investment for down the road. So as I mentioned before, when I started the first time bringing in, I didn't know what to bring in. Right. I didn't know what's good, right, what kind, what type, or what shape. I brought in, I have invested, and I'm a very risky person by nature, of course, calculated. That was part of the investment. And to learn this business, I know nobody's going to teach me this. I have to learn it the hard way. Well, I brought in a very big variety of product and different shapes and different packaging or whatever it is. And over the first year, which was a very difficult year, to push the products out, to introduce the market and try to convince the people that it's better than others or whatever it is. It took us time, but not everything won. A lot of products failed because it was not meant for the American market. We tried to, copy a little from here, from there, but it did not work. I learned very fast, within a year and a half, too. I learned that we can't just bring everything, because I started selling, first we started in the USA to go different, it's a big country and there's big communities all around. And I saw that even every state requires a different product, meaning, talking about the customers, the distributors. Certain places, they love the bulk product. They like to repackage it. And certain places, they don't want to touch the bulk. And that was the big mistake we made in the first time. So we started changing the pattern of the business slowly, trying to bring some bulk, some packaging, and trying to push it all around. And again, as to the point that I learned over the years, once we started dealing with overseas, different customers, that was a whole different animal by itself. Forget about USA. They have their own different taste, different packaging sizes that needs, and we had to start slowly changing the entire business and trying to combine and sort of tailor to each customer, which is very costly, very time consuming, and it involves a lot of risk, because if it fails, the loser is me and not them, because they're going to buy. But over the years, over the last 6-7 years, we produced and we learned from the mistakes. I learned very fast. One thing in business people don't know, they have to put their ego aside when they make a mistake. And I always put my mistakes aside, my ego aside. I have a mistake, I learned it, I asked, I looked, I researched, and try to implement the right way. And thank God, slowly, a lot of things changed to the point that, we are very strong now in every aspect. We do have competition, and every day there's new competitions popping around, like mushrooms. But I tell you, if there is no competition, you're going to fall asleep. Competition is good for business. Keeps us on our toes. Try to, my goal is to make sure we are different. We are different in every way. The certain stock might be the same, but we try to bring in products that are different. Why do I need to compete? You want to bring the sour belt, watermelon sour belt? I'm not going to bring it. I'm going to bring strawberry. I'm going to be away. And that's how we try to do and navigate our business through this difficult business environment.
You know what's great about this interview is we call it tachlis, right? You're sharing no nonsense stuff. This is
right.
This is how business gets done. People go to Harvard and they learn all that, and then they come into the business world, they don't know what hit them.
Right. It's totally different. The business world is a totally different world.
That's where the rubber meets the road. That's the real thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So perhaps you could I just want to hold on to the original question, even though you answered it amazing. And I love it. And by the way, for those that are tuning in late, no worries. By Tuesday morning, the entire show will be up at mybradio.com. You like to listen on Spotify? Sure. iTunes, all the popular podcasting channels. Of course, the entire episode will be up. But Benny, what's something that you could share? I'm not asking you for all the secrets because there may be competitors listening in. We can't give away the fort here. Right. But what is a tip, a suggestion you can give on how to make sure that your products make it onto the shelves?
Right. Well, again, shelf space is something that's always tight. Yeah. And there's always a fight. It wasn't an overnight thing. It takes time. It takes a lot of pushing. It's a lot of encouragement. It's a lot of you have to believe in your products, and we believe in our products because we know what our products are. We offer it. We give them. We let them test it. We let them to try it. And even if you need to ask them for a small space to try our product, we have done it. We promoted it. We did advertising to make sure people know we're out there. We did whatever we need. We did sampling. We gave sampling out the supermarkets, years ago, till people understood what we are. But once they know who you are and they start testing, it's guaranteed they're gonna go back to the shelf and looking for your product. It doesn't come overnight. It takes a few years, but that's the secret.
Amazing. Also, perseverance. Got to stick it out. Can't throw in the towel too early. So many people. They expect. Yeah, they expect. They invested in something. They give it a week or two. It may take even a year or two. Could be quick.
Oh, absolutely. It takes a few years.
Now, Benny, your company has a manufacturer that makes products in Spain and Israel. Now, we're not going to talk about supply chain issues. We know that's a whole different animal these days. Let's not get into that. But perhaps just if you could talk about some tips and strategies when you're running operations overseas. That still takes a lot of management, ingenuity, and skill.
Right. So in one of the strategies I had when I started with these companies to work with, I sort of partnered up to have my person there, which is also their person, which is sort of, he's sharing the same person. He is my eyes, he's my ears, and at the same time, he knows the company, he works for the company, and it's a mutual help to both of us. It's, so to speak, it's the connection part between us and me and the company. So I don't have to be dealing with too many people in the company because each of these companies are massive companies. They have a lot of departments, a lot of people. This person that's one of my strategies that I have and I hire, and they're working for me here, there, or anywhere else that we manufacture. They are responsible to help me navigate through what needs to be done and what we have to do. And we talk and they do what I need to be done. And that's how we get, trying to channel it instead of dealing with too many people.
Right. Now, Benny, you touched on this earlier, but I just want to hold on to it again because it's such an important point. You sell products in Canada, France, Mexico, you're around the world. Talk about what's involved in making sure that you can tailor a product for the particular segment, for the country. You touched on it earlier, but it's so fascinating. The taste palette in America is different than Mexico or France. Perhaps you could talk about that.
Right. That was part of what I said originally. We try to tailor. That's how I say it because it's really tailored. When I brought, first time we brought a lot of products, we had no idea who likes what.
Right.
But slowly we learned, number one, that, sour products, most of the people, whether here, there, they all like sour. Everybody likes sour. But certain communities, they don't want the sour. They want just sweet. They want no sugar, no sour stuff. So we learn how that goes. I mean, there's certain people, they want only sour. I mean, 95% of what's sold in Mexico is sour. They want sour and they want spicy. But we don't have spicy, but sour and super sour. That's their palate. They barely buy the sweeter stuff. But here in New York, we sell a lot of the sweets because different communities, the Hasidic community, the palate's more. They want jelly and they want soft and they want sweet. And they're not buying much of this sugar product or sour product. Now, in Canada, they're buying packaged product only like we have back here.
Right.
They're not buying much of the bulk. But in New York, majority of what we sell is bulk and some of the packaging. So we had to go and make the packaging to fit for France, for Panama, Mexico, here. So everything was tailored over the years.
Wow. Before we go to a commercial break, I understand that your products are kosher and halal certified.
Yes.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yes. Can you explain why you chose that route?
Sure. I mean, it goes back to my roots. We were born and raised in a Muslim country. By the way, halal means kosher. It's the same word, but in Persian or Arabic, halal means kosher. So Muslims do have, and I'm very familiar with the Muslim world and what they eat, what they don't eat, and their certificates or everything else. So I saw a tremendous opportunity in USA or around the world. There's a huge Muslim communities that a lot of them are observant and they do care, because a lot of the products that have gelatin, majority of products are usually pork gelatin or beef gelatin, and that's not makes it kosher or halal. Ours is a very high quality fish gelatin that makes it kosher at the same time is halal. So I decided to speak to a halal company certificate, and we make a contract, and they also, of course, they same like a kosher supervision. They need to see the ingredients, everything else to make sure it's halal. And once they know we are kosher to begin with, they know already it's out there, it's up there, it's halal as well.
Right.
And we decided to have everything, and we do have quite a bunch of Muslim customers.
Wow. We're speaking with Benny Imani, founder and CEO of MiMi's Sweets. By the way, what's the website where people can go to find out more information about your amazing line of treats?
Sure, www.mimis-sweets.com.
I'm just going to jump right in because we still have quite a bit to cover and we're going to approach the top of the hour, so we want to get it all in. MiMi's Sweets. It's spelled, and anyone that's watching it or will be watching it on YouTube, you see the logo, the beautiful logo there, and the hearts on top of the eyes. Why is it spelled that way? It's very cute, but what was the backstory to that?
Well, to start with, people ask me why you call the company MiMi's.
Yes, correct.
My first daughter's name is Michal, Michal at your show,
right.
and we call her Mimi. She's my sweetheart, and I love all my kids. But she was my first daughter, so I named the company after her. Now, nice. And that's why it's called MiMi's. The reason we have, if you look at my initials, the logo is capital M, and it's a lowercase. I mentioned before, I like to do everything a bit different than everybody else. Okay. This is a way to do it, to catch people's eyes and have those hearts on it, and just, a lot of people just, it catches their attention. Why is it capital and there's lowercase and capital lowercase? But really, it's just to make it different, and beautiful. The hearts are there because people love the goods. So
I'm just going to ask you a question. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot here. Did your daughter ever try a product and said, Dad, I don't go for this one that much?
Well, everybody has a different palate. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Well, she loves my product, and yeah, I always, when I bring new products, I always have them first tested and give me their opinion. And their opinion, my kids and my wife especially.
That's right.
My wife, she's the biggest supporter behind my back to build a company, because after all, if you don't have a solid wife behind you, you can't be successful in business. Right. So, I owe a lot of it to her, and she's one of my testers.
Yeah. Now, I'm also not going to ask if the kids are jabbing you, like, all right, are you going to open up a company in my name? It's not fair.
Then we have that here and there, but,
That's great. By the way, I was looking at the packaging. You have some French writing on it, even on the American product. Why is that?
Right. So it goes back, French. Number one, the design of the packagings are done by my very good friend, and she's a genius. She's a graphic designer in Paris. She's been working for L'Oreal and Estes and all these people over many years, and big companies. She's very, very talented, and she has designed everything for us. And she does all designing for us. One of the facts that the reasons that we have French really is because we sell to Canada and we sell to France, and all of them, they require French writing, especially Canada, which is a so to speak of English colony and a French colony in the past, and they have the requirements, and we want to make sure packaging and everything that goes to these countries 100% is good with their legal system and everything else. Even the ingredients, everything is both in French and in English. Serves both purposes.
Now, you sell around the world, and I understand, this I found fascinating, that you don't have a sales team. Now, wow. I mean, you're moving product, you're a major manufacturer, you're moving product around the world. How do you explain that?
Well, everybody does business differently. I learned my mistakes early on with the chocolate business and with the whole pattern. We used to manufacture, we used to sell to wholesalers. We also used to go boots on the ground and go around and sell to every single store. And we used to have the distribution, the trucking, the networking, the whole 9 yards. And that was the biggest mistake, I think, that failed the company. I learned that this business, when I started MiMi's, I want to have it totally different. I want to have minimal exposure out there with so many workers and people's liabilities. What I did, I started working only with distributors. Now, the share of profit that or margin that I have to make, they make it, which I'm fine with. I make less of a margin, they make the margin, but they have the salespeople. Right. They are that's my strategy. And they do everything. And I cut my costs, and less margin, but less
margin,
overhead.
But much less overhead.
Overhead and headache.
So true. Now, you mentioned earlier in the show that you take risk. Calculated risk, that was a good way of putting it, calculated, but you take risk. And you're not afraid to take risk. Maybe I could ask you, from your lifetime of experience, decades of experience, what is your recommendation of, when to take the risk, when to take the gamble, and when to kind of just play it safe?
Well, this is a $1 million question.
Yeah.
Now,
that's why I'm asking you.
Right. We all take. Some people are by nature a little more risky, and some people are more conservative. I'm more of a risky, but of course, everything is calculated, at least as much as my knowledge could allow me. And based on that and my vision, I take the risks, and not always I'm successful, but for majority of the time, if I fell down, I bounce back up. So it is proven. Chocolate business didn't work out. It was a very difficult times and very, very lot of loss and everything else. But I started this business. I didn't give up. A lot of hard work, still doing a lot of hard work, but it's proved to be right.
You mentioned it earlier in the show, and I heard it also from a guest here on a show a couple of weeks ago, a major banker. And he said, it's okay to fail, but fail fast. He said, Fail fast. And I love you're basically saying the same thing. Like
Very true, 100%.
right, try things, but if you see it's not working, keep your finger on the pulse and
Absolutely.
and be quick to it. Whether it's
Right.
a month, 2 months, or 6 months, but then don't let it drag out. Don't let it go for years and then say, what's going on?
Correct. You have to know when to pull the plug, and you have to, as I mentioned earlier, you can have your ego involved and emotion involved. It's very difficult because you grow with the business. So you have to just cut it up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that. That was another great point that you shared. You got to move the ego out of the way. Because, listen, we're all human, and we all get emotionally attached. I would even say,
Absolutely.
in your case, let's face it, right? We named the company after a child. There's emotion there, but still, you're keeping your eye out there for trends and whatever needs to be done to be successful. That's what guides the company.
Absolutely. You have to be on your toes.
We're speaking with Benny Imani. Benny, can you shed some light, as a seasoned business professional, how you learn to identify opportunity and recognize potential? How do you get to see, what's ahead?
Right. So this business, when I started it, I was in the market, and there was some competitions and some people out there, not competitions, just some people selling it. And I saw this as an opportunity, because if I saw it, my vision was that if some people are bringing it and selling it, I'm sure if I bring it, there is a big market and we could definitely sell it. Of course, it was an easy journey. It was a very bumpy journey and a lot of investment, a lot of risk. But as long as you have a vision and you have a pattern that you want to follow, that's the way to do, and that's the way to go.
Yeah. So a person should study trends, should
Absolutely.
see patterns, don't ignore them, and like you said, don't be afraid to take a little risk here and there.
Absolutely. A business without the risk, it's a body without a soul.
Perhaps you could share, especially people are now charting out, they're making New Year's resolutions and goals. How have your goals and business vision, your aspirations, changed over the years?
Well, when you're younger, you have more ambition, you have more fire, and you want to do a lot of things. And that leads, of course, to a lot of taking a risk and a lot of downfall. But as I grew through the business, I learned I have to slow down and build the business solid and steady, slow, and solid. And I think that's one of my best resolutions that I have for people. And they should not give up in life. They should not give up very fast if they see obstacles. Life is full of challenges. Everybody has them, especially in business world. And that's how we got to go through it. And
now, Benny, is it okay if we ask, are there any new products on the horizon that you're able to share with the public?
Well, I can't share till they're in the market, but there definitely some exciting product in 2022 that we are working and we're going to manufacture, and which is like always going to be very different from everybody else that trying to copycat us and trying to make the same product. But we can be always ahead of the game. We think ahead. We're going to have some new, very exciting product that nobody else, not in here, in the kosher market, in the world, wouldn't have it.
Wow. Before I get to my last question, again, what is the website for your company?
www.mimis-sweets.com.
Now, listening to this story, what an amazing journey. And of course, as we know, right, the hand of God, siyata d'shmaya.
Absolutely.
Perhaps you could share a strategy or even two strategies in the next 2-3 minutes, a couple of key points that the listeners of the show can have as a takeaway, kind of as a couple of key takeaways that they should always keep in mind in order to be successful in business.
Absolutely. I think very basic thing in business is, number one, you have to love what you're doing. Number two, don't give up so fast. As they say, Rome wasn't built overnight. It takes time, takes challenges, and don't be afraid of working hard, because working hard and patient, and it's going to get you there.
So I just want to go over them again. In fact, I'm going to work our way backwards. Don't be afraid from working hard. That's unfortunately, the work ethic is taking a hit, especially during the pandemic.
100%.
That's you got to be, roll up your sleeves, as they say, and get ready to get down and dirty. Then don't give up. I mean, how many people, they try something and then maybe it's 3 months, 6 months. It's not working. They throw in the towel.
Exactly.
And I love the first point. You got to love what you're doing. You got to love it. You got to be passionate about it. It's got to be in your genes. It's got to be in your bones. Otherwise just burnout.
Absolutely. If you love something, you'll be successful.
Amazing.
And to me, it's MiMi's.
Amazing.
Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to this channel and be notified every single time a new video goes live. Don't miss out on any of the weekly interviews that I have with top business leaders, sometimes Fortune 500 executives. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications.